Alright, so we're going to attempt another single elimination draft. This is an 8-4. Born of the Gods, Theros. It's Theros block. What exists of it. Kind of came in halfway through this pack, so I don't have a lot of time to talk about it, but I will say that the cards I'm interested in are Archetype of Courage, which is really, really strong in the White Weenie aggressive deck. This guy, he's just a very powerful dude. I could be looking to maybe ramp into him with like a green-red deck. Him as well. I think he's slightly weaker, but he's very good. I mean, weaker is relative. I also like Sudden Storm. I think I want to stick to my plan of liking the white creatures and go with the archetype here. A lot of people gave me flack for not taking Tromacrotis in my previous draft, or one of my previous drafts. I am still not going to take it here. I think a 7-drop 8/8 is not exactly where I want to be. I like the more aggressive decks. So then the question is Nyxborn Wolf better than Mischief and Mayhem? And is this worth playing? I don't know if this is 3/2 for 6 flying. Gives everything flying though. Like, that's a pretty good effect. And you know, you could just start out with 2 archetypes. That's fine. I'd say the green stuff excites me a little bit more than the blue does right now. And that could be just personal preference. I'm going to go with the Nyxborn Wolf. I don't know how right that is. Obviously, this card's powerful. I just feel like the Wolf offers a lot. And here we're past a Cetizen Oathsworn. I think the card's extremely powerful. Grows very quickly. This guy is probably one of the best inspired guys. Though I kind of want to stick to our white-green thing. The white gets cut, I think, pretty quickly, so I think we need to look for that too. If it's going to dry up, it's going to dry up quick, and we need to be aware of that if it happens, and see what's wheeling. Obviously, Nyxborn Triton is strong. Shieldmate is here, so is Excoriate, but Excoriate. Keep on mispronouncing that. Anyway, going with this guy. Really like green in pack 1. I think it's a strong thing to be in. Here's a Loyal Pegasus. I still like the card despite my friend Logan not liking it at all. I think the White Weenie strategy benefits a lot from having a 1/1 or a 1 casting cost 2/1 flyer. Other cards of note in this pack, Kior's Follower can be good. Thunderbrute, obviously we said how he was very strong earlier. This guy is strong. This girl, my mistake, is strong. 3/2 for 2 green. Like 3 power in 2 mana is strong. This is a fine trick. I think this can win you a lot of games, and Asphyxiate is the last card that I want to talk about. I already talked about this in the previous pack. Hold at Bay I've undervalued in the past, but it's a very playable card, especially in the strategy we're drafting, so we want to keep our eyes out for that. I think we could probably draft around Acolyte's Reward. I think the card is strong enough to be played in the correct deck. Now, is this our deck? I don't know. Obviously, Revoke Existence has its place. I think that place might be sideboard, but I'm not sure. There's an awful lot of artifacts and enchantments about. I still see some strong blue cards in this pack, so worth keeping in mind as we go forward. I don't really want to draft the Favor, though it's not unplayable. I'm going to go with the Reward here. I believe the Reward triggers... Yeah, it triggers Heroic as well, which we really want to be shooting for. And here I think there's really only one clear card. There's only one card in white. Also, the previous pack had no green, so it appears that green is actually the color that's drying up. But that could just be luck, I'm not sure. I like some of these blue cards. Obviously, you could draft a successful blue deck that can run this. Nullify, I think, is very strong, but in a more control-y deck, and Stratus Walk can be played both as, well, only as an aggressive strategy, really, but I guess you could play it defensively. And we're going to see an archetype of Finality. I think the card is one of the better archetypes. I'm not sure if we can successfully run it in a deck like this, though. Like, if we were to theoretically cut green or something, you know, which we'd have to do, I think. I'm not sure. Like, our white stuff is not super strong, but we're just hoping to draft a lot of it, right? Hold at Bay is good. I think I'm going to take the snake here, with very little explanation as to why. Basically, I like that it's a big, strong creature for, you know, it's like a 4/4 for 5 mana that gains you a bunch of life, or it's a 7/7 for 5, which is extremely aggressively costed. So either way, I like it. Here, I think the Griffin is kind of weak. I'm going to take another one of these. This guy is fine. He just costs 8 mana, and I don't want to be there. So I think that's unrealistic for my white weenie deck to be casting that. Well, I see a Necrobite here. Like, it's a fine card. I think this is probably, this and this are the two best cards in the pack. I think this is unplayable in my deck, possibly unplayable in this draft format. As far as Radiance doesn't do a lot for us. I'm going to take this Charging Badger, which we're probably not going to play. This wheels to us. This is fantastic. I will happily take that and play with it. Excoriate, probably a card we want, though. Tapped creature. How crazy is that? I don't know. Like, is it better than Aspect of Hydra in this deck? I have no clue. Zero clue whatsoever. I think we want to be aggressive. I think I'm going to go with the Aspect. I think that might be wrong, but Hold at Bay versus Mortal's Resolve. I like both. I think Hold at Bay has a wider range of application, in that it can be used defensively and aggressively. I am going to go with the Mortal's Resolve. I'm going to stay aggressive, like just stay on the aggressive end. Like, obviously neither of these are going in our deck. I'm just kind of taking note of what I feel is stronger. Alright, so 2 Evanescent and Intellect passed in a row. That indicates to me basically nothing except for no one's going to go for Mill, which is not surprising. I'm going to hide this Badger. I think he's a little weak. There's a Reverent Hunter and a Staunch-Hearted Warrior. Which one is better? I don't know. Griptide is the best card in the pack, I think, by far. Oh, I'm sorry. I completely missed the Hopeful Eidolon. Hopeful Eidolon is a card that I believe in strongly enough to take it over many bomb rares. I think recently Channel Fireball put up a top 8 bombs in Theros or something like that, and I felt that Hopeful Eidolon was better than all but 2 of them. Or I would rather be running Hopeful Eidolon over that. The card is just, it wins games for you, and I would like to have that in my deck as an option. Wingsteed Rider is something we're really happy to go with here. And at this point, I think I need to apologize for drafting the same exact deck over and over. But it's a strong one, I feel. And I think I'm doing it better at this point. So we're going to go with the Rider here over the Divine Verdict, which would be the next thing I would think about, and then the Sedge Scorpion. These are all cards that we probably want in our deck and would happily take on the wheel if it happens. I doubt it will, especially not the Verdict. The Verdict is just not coming back. Vanquish the Foul is something we'd play sideboard. Obviously the Sentry is good, but difficult to play as it's black-white, and that's not generally a good color combination. Not that it's a bad, you know, it's like you build a good deck in any color combination. It's just not a typical one, I guess. That's what I'm trying to say. So, I mean, pretty clear here. There are two things in our colors. There's the Satyr Hedonist, which is not really in our colors as its ability costs red, and there's this guy that almost all the time, well, not almost all the time, but, you know, a fair amount of the time draws us a card. So I'm very happy taking this. There are very few options here. Again, we see the best cards are in blue. Horizon Scholar, Omen Speaker, and Voyage's End. If I was in blue, I'd probably take Voyage's End over the Scholar and Omen Speaker, but yeah, they're all solid. I'm just in a different deck. So what are you gonna do? All right, so this is between Nessie and Asp, and I guess nothing. Vulpine Goliath is fine as the other card in our colors that would be playable. I don't like the Battle Priest, though you could draft the deck that has the thing in your throat. The card that puts counters on a creature. It's an enchantment. Puts counters on the creature equal to the life you gain every turn, whatever. It's like Archangel's ability, but on one creature. Baleful Eidolon is, I think, one of the stronger cards in the pack, if not the best in the pack. But it's close to the Asp, and I'm happy taking the Asp as it's in our colors. Triad of Fates is a really interesting card. I looked at it and immediately thought, oh man, what if I ran that? Splashed for it. I'm opting not to splash a color in this. I want to be as consistent as possible. I'm seeing a lot of good blue-black cards, and it's, you know, it's possible, like, looking in hindsight, we could have started out in, like, a blue-black. Obviously, we saw Tromacrata second. We could have been a control deck that opted to, like, just counter everything on the way to Tromacratus and put a bomb like him, or, you know, just a random flyer out and win that way. I would have been happy in black or whatever. Here I'm going to take either Hunt the Hunter or Warrior's Lesson. I feel like Warrior's Lesson is a little weak, though it does trigger our Heroic, and it triggers it on multiple creatures, which is relevant in this deck. Helliod's Emissary, by far the best card in the pack, so I'm happy to see that because it's white. It's also a very good card in our deck. Now, we're kind of like a bigger Heroic deck than I would normally like. Normally, I would like to play 16 land-ish in a Heroic deck with a curve that kind of tops out at 3. But, you know, this is a new format from Theros, and I'm still kind of learning it. Anyway, let's quickly discuss the other cards in the pack. Obviously, we could play either one of these cards to good effect. Last Breath is better in a more control-y deck, but, you know, it's like this guy's very strong. I don't know how many 5-drops we want. Helliod's Emissary is quite good. Happy to get it there. I think Nylea's Disciple is fine. I mean, I see no reason not to run the card. Ray of Dissolution is a great card, I think, both main and sideboard. I don't think we can utilize this as well. This is a card that's really hit and miss as far as like things you want to do. If you have things to ramp into after turn 4, this seems great. Like Monstrous would be a really good example. In this case, we don't. I just want a 4-drop. Ray of Dissolution would also be fine. I'm going to take Glare of Heresy sideboard. There's nothing else we can play in our deck. Destructive Revelry is quite good for sideboard mostly, but I've seen people run it main and it's fine main. Glare of Heresy is just going to be a good sideboard for us. Hide. Yeah, and here's another pack that kind of makes me wish I was in black maybe, but you know, I don't think the black has been incredible. It's just been abundant, and it's good and abundant. So that would lead to a fine deck if we decided to go that way, and we would have gone blue-black. Here I'm just going to take the Sip of Hemlock because there's no other option, really. Commune with Gods, we wouldn't play. Does nothing for us. It's a fine card in the decks that it works in. I don't love it. Yeah, again, no real option here. I could take the Centaurs. That would be fine. I think I'm going to. Boon of Erebos is quite good, as well as... Well, maybe take... I'm going to take this. And the reason I did that was I quickly had a vision of something with Intimidate. And I want to avoid just being beat out by a random Intimidate guy. Our creatures are bigger anyway. I don't really care about the 3/7. I don't think anyone's going to play it. If they do, you know, play our colors or whatever. Read the Bones. There's no real reason. Everything's starting to dry up. There's no good picks in this pack. None. So no colors really getting anything there. Take this. And that's amazing that the Citizen Griffin willed to us. I think the card is quite strong, even when you're not in green. 3/2 flyer for 5. Like, not great, but sometimes just having a 3-power flyer is more than you need. Spirit of Heliod, Windmill Slam here, I feel. It's an extremely powerful effect normally. It's an even better effect in our deck because we are aggressive and we are leaning white slightly already. As well as we have Archetype of Courage, and I mean, just having the extra power and the first strike is incredible. The other cards we want out of this pack are God's Willing and nothing. Nessian Courser, I guess. Snarecaster would be fine too, I would play it, but what are you going to do? Can't get all of them all the time. We could take another Heliod's Emissary here. I think that would be fine. God's Willing is quite good, as is said Scorpion. So let's take a look at our deck and see maybe what we're missing. We have 16 creatures. We have this thing we need to hide. Man, I really like Heliod's Emissary. I think it's an extremely powerful card. We have 1, 2, 3. Well, I don't even know if I'm playing this Aspect Hydra. We don't have enough green cards. Sorry, 1, 2, 3, 4. Maybe not playing that. 5, 6, 7. Count like 7-ish ways to trigger Heroic. We may want the God's Willing. I think God's Willing is extremely strong. Also, the Heliod's Emissary came real late last time we saw it. It's unlikely we see it again. I'm just going to take the God's Willing. I think we have enough creatures. Wow, Metamai. I'm like almost debating splashing for that. Card's very, very strong. And the biggest reason why I would consider splashing for that right now is because I feel Feral Invocation and Battle-Wise Valor, while they're very good in our deck, like they would be fine pickups, and I think I would play both of them. I'm not super excited about taking them, and I feel like they're not like amazing picks. But I feel like Metamai might be. I think Metamai generally wins the game once it drops out, but then the question is, can we reliably cast Metamai? I don't know what the answer to that is. I think it's smarter to take the Feral Invocation, so I'm gonna do it. I didn't feel great about it, if you're wondering. I'm gonna take the Staunch-Hearted Warrior. I think God's Willing is very good too. Maybe I should take the God's Willing. No, I want to... God, I don't know. I mean, this is our 23rd card, so after this we're either having to cut cards or run less land, and I don't think that is a possibility with our curve at the moment. Tough call. I think the Staunch-Hearted Warrior is strong enough that I feel comfortable taking it there. Here's a Divine Verdict. I mean, there's no option unless we're in blue-black. Again, maybe a color combination that we should have been in. So, Observant Said. I'm not really sure how to pronounce that. Obviously. So we could take this, which seems like the pick to me, as it triggers heroic and is a fine creature at 3. We could take this. 3/3 for 3 is always fine. It sometimes draws us a card. And the Cavalry Pegasus probably triggers enough creatures to, like, this, jumping this into the air is worth it enough. But we are not really loaded with humans like a normal deck like this would be. So I'm comfortable going with the El Said. Again, no clue if I'm pronouncing that correctly. Ooh, Steam Augury. You know I love that. I'm just kind of picking quick here. There's not a lot to talk about in these packs, I feel. If you disagree, post in the comments. I'll address it. I mean, this isn't really a tough pick. I'm just kind of observing it. I guess Portent of Betrayal hurts us the most. Cavern Lampid 2, really good. That wasn't, I mean, took the Cavern Lampid. I probably should just left it because I can get stuff like that out. We'll just take another one of these. I'm not going to play the Battle Priest. Yoke Docks. Man, Doran should be in this format. I would play Yoke Docks all day. Doran the Siege Tower. That black card actually wasn't that bad in the pack. In that the pack I just picked from. You can draft pretty savage decks with Devotion. Comes into play, Devotion effects. And I realize this costs 6, not the greatest for draft, but I've seen too many of them in this draft. I just don't feel that the card is bad enough to see that late. But maybe everyone else feels differently. It felt a little bit like we were being fought over in the, in our colors, in our strategy, maybe a little bit. Though we got some weird late picks. I don't know. Heliod's Emissary maybe should have been the pick over God's Willing. I'm unsure about that still, but I'm sure God's Willing will maybe take a game or just be a great play in any given situation. I'm going to put some questionable cards off to the side here. And I mean the far end over here. That pile. That's my I don't know if I'm playing it yet pile. Definitely playing these. This. Oh yeah. Maybe too many 5-drops. I don't know. I might want to cut back on those. 4 is quite a bit for a deck like this. Not Yoke Docks. Come on now. I want this. Come on, get in the deck. Get in the deck. Oh, I forgot to move the microphone. You're gonna have to turn the volume, change it in a second, because it's going to a much better place. Anyway, not sure if I want this card yet. No, I don't want that. Want this, want this, want this, want this. Not sure on that. And this is too many cards. I'm gonna cut something. Could be mana cost again. So many 5-drops. Alright, I think this guy is probably the weakest of the 5-drops. Also, we have 18 creatures. We can definitely cut other creatures. I'm more comfortable. Well, alright, so let me separate first the triggers for heroic and or rather the curve and the triggers for heroic or whatever. This guy's not a trigger. That's a space station. And Mischief and Mayhem, quite good. Fan of this. This deck seems fine. I need to cut one more though. I think it's going to be the snake again. I think it does the least of everything we have. We would bring it in against a more aggressive deck, I think, just for the life gain. I think that's questionable too. Really, when you get right down to it. And do we have enough? I think we have plenty of triggers for the heroic. The only two that are in this bottom pile that aren't are Feral Invocation, or sorry, 3. There's, I don't know, there's a few. Maybe there's not enough though. Maybe we do want to cut something. But how many heroic guys do we have, you know? Like, we really only have 3, right? 3 creatures. Yeah, so that seems like plenty. I don't want to start bringing in stuff just to trigger heroic like this and Warrior's Lesson, which usually just cantrips, and Aspect might be fine. I don't feel like we have enough green creatures to justify that. Enough green permanents. Maybe we do. A lot of our stuff is double. This could be an awkward part of our deck. But we're going to find out. And we could find out also that we want to cut like some of the lower end creatures like this, and just have like a slightly larger deck, or a larger curve, I guess, higher end curve. But for now, I'm happy with it. I really like I want these cards to be played and be good, right? But I'm not sure it's going to happen. We don't have enough heroic guys to justify running this, I don't think. Because I mean, I'm going to be holding it back all day until I get 2 heroic guys out. I'm not going to feel like I get value out of it. It's a fine card. It's okay. I don't know. I overvalued it heavily when the set first launched. When Theros first launched. And after drafting it several times, I felt like it was one of the weaker heroic triggers. And I had more success when I was not drafting it. So, Acolyte's Reward seems strong to me. I mean, what would be the cut? There's nothing I want to cut right now. So, but these are the 2 cards I would consider running. I think this is really no better than a Giant Growth. So, we'll take note of how many green permanents we're dropping in the field. Obviously, the whole thing would be different if like these were in and these were out or something. But I don't really want to do that. I think this Griffin is slightly better than this, not by much. But, you know, I like this guy a lot. Don't get me wrong. I'm just opting to play a different card over it, right? So, I'm gonna add land here. Hold on, yeah, we're tilted slightly into white a little bit. We want to hit 3 double white costed cards early, like by turn 3, versus 1 set sworn or Citizen Oathsworn. The awkward thing is the next curve is here, but realistically we'd want this out first anyway. Like all these we'd want to play first, but and then like because this reacts to our devotion to green, this is probably something we would hold back in our hand given the option. So it's fine to lean into white here because we probably don't want to play this until like over here, you know, turn 7, whatever. So let's add land, see what it suggests. It's telling us to lean very, very slightly into white. Again, I've built a deck that is probably a little bit too even on the split. I'm opting to not allow that to happen and go a little bit more extreme into 10-7. I think that's fine. We may or may not cast this on curve. But other than that, I think it makes the deck more consistent to go 10-7. Do I want to do anything else with this deck? Like, obviously, I'm not extremely happy with our tiny creatures, as normally I would want the curve to be a lot more heavy on the 2-drops, like good 2-drops like this guy, and you know, we didn't see the 1/1 flyer heroic guy at all, which should have been a thought on our mind. Like, I'm gonna say done on this and submit it. But yeah, I mean, sometimes you don't see the signals until it's too late. Obviously, I like looking back, and you know, hindsight's 20/20, like I said. But looking back, I did see the blue signal. I mentioned it. It was just not something, you know, I care to go into. Anyway, see you for round 1.